Ooh, do I look weird?
No, you look fine.
Hey guys, it's MistyEyez. I wonder if your neighbors are like, what the f are they doing?
Whatever.
We are practicing for the opera. I'm confused too. Alright, so this asks Misty, do people treat you differently when they find out that you are transgender?
Yes. 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 Yes.
Abso-freaking-lutely. 100% yes. Unfortunately, I wish this answer was no. I wish people treated us the same no matter what. But 1,000% yes, people treat me differently when they find out. Go ahead.
I want to say that, let's say you're on an app like Tinder and, lots of people like to swipe right and swipe right and swipe right. And sometimes they may not catch that you're trans or read that you're trans. It takes a very insecure person to be like, wow, you're attractive, but fuck, you're trans, goodbye, like nasty, and unfollow you or unmatch you or whatever it is. But it takes someone who's confident that could be like, wow, I didn't know, I didn't see that, but you're very good looking, and I hope you don't get hate. Have a good day. But that's not my thing, which I find totally acceptable.
Yeah.
But I guess it just depends who you're dealing with, and also it kind of adds into people's insecurities of themselves, because people project what they're scared of or what they mostly internalize or, compress and like, oh my god, you're gay or you're trans, or like, ew, you have a dick or you don't have a dick. Like, oh my god, you used to be a man.
Is your dick bigger than mine?
Like, there's so many different things.
Yeah.
But most definitely we do get treated differently.
Can you think of an example of when the last time or a significant time that somebody treated you differently when they found out you're trans? Well, I comment on your Tinder thing. When I was single and I was on Tinder, yes, 1,000%. I was more tempted to like and swipe right on everybody because I don't know who's going to reject me and who's going to accept me. And I think most guys are just like, yes, 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 yes. And I was very much that way. Not because I was a guy, but because I was opening myself to whoever likes me. And I did say I'm transgender in my profile. And after we matched, I liked them back. Then they read the profile usually, and I let them hit on me first because I hope they read, are we a match, etc. Have you thought of a time or a significant moment where somebody did treat you differently?
There's been times where I've like had conversations with men before I got married, and they didn't read that I was trans, and sometimes it kind of just slips your mind without checking with them, like, hey, did you read my profile? So conversation moved forward, got super sexual, got to the point where like he wanted to take me out on a date and like whatnot, and he made a comment about a pussy. And I was like,
did you read my profile?
Some guys make that just to make themselves feel masculine or like, oh, me, whatever. And it kind of, in this particular moment, kind of threw me off. So I said, wait a minute. Did you read my profile? And he was like, what are you talking about? Yes, I did. And I'm like, go read it again just to be safe. And he comes back and he was like, oh my God. And that was the last message I got from him. And he either blocked me, deleted me, whatever the situation was. I can't remember. It's been years. But it just shows that this guy was like, so about taking me on dates and being with me and introducing me to his family and, having children maybe one day and whatnot. Which, I cannot have children personally, but when someone says
you can have them, you just can't carry them.
Yeah, I can't carry them. So, it was kind of sad a little bit.
100%, piggybacking on what you just said, when a dating person treats you a certain way before they find out you're trans, the second they find out you're trans, suddenly it's sex.
Oh, for sure. They want to treat
my dick. Oh, those lips. You could suck a dick real good. Oh, are you available today? And I'm like,
I'm more than just a
hello? Hi. First message. You suck dick good, don't you? Can you just treat me like a normal person and ask me on a date? But no, you're now a hookup and not a person. My significant experience where somebody treated me very differently when they realized I was trans was recently this year.
Can I guess?
Yeah.
Was it the hospital visit?
The hospital visit! So December 2020. in the height of COVID, the tail end, but still the height of COVID, I went to the hospital because my blood sugar was really high, and I just found out I'm diabetic in December. And
oh wow, you only found out in December.
Well, I heard that I was pre-diabetic.
Oh, okay.
But my blood sugar spiked, and I found out that I'm onset diabetes. So, surprise. But the nurse was a delicious, big, huge, muscular black man. Gorgeous.
Very handsome.
Just like the darker version of The Rock. Maybe not as tall. But he was super sweet to me, and I was nervous, and it was COVID, so they wouldn't let my husband come into the waiting room with. He could go to the lobby, but he could not come into the hospital room with me, and I didn't want to be there, and I thought I was dying, and my blood sugar was over 600. It was a very scary time, and he brings me back, and if you can see our arms, he brings me back, and he's stroking my arm like this. And he's like, sweetheart, it's okay. I'm going to take good care of you. I know your husband's in the car, but you can tell him to go home because you're going to be here for a long time. You know, he was treating me like this. Mentally, verbally, and physically treating me like this.
Which made you feel good.
I was very relaxed. And I'm like, ooh, he's nice and he's attractive. And I did feel very relaxed, and he very much put me at ease. Then the test started. And the blood sugar and the this and that and the other, and he would explain things like, I'm going to put in an IV in your arm, and do you like it? Where do you usually get it? Do you get it here? Do you get it here? Where do you normally put it? I'm like, I don't care, just put it anywhere. I'm not like I'm in the hospital very often. I don't know. He tried a couple places, and finally he found one. I think he put it in my hand.
Oh, I don't like that.
Yeah, and it hurt to move, and he's like, don't worry, you're going to be okay. He was super sweet. So he's like, all right, so we're going to do a pregnancy test. Well, I've never had a pregnancy test before. And now, looking back, it was probably a urine test.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how they test for pregnancy in the hospital. I didn't know if they were going to swipe something.
I think it's through your blood.
Oh, well, if it's a blood test, I wouldn't have cared. If it was a urine test, I wouldn't have cared.
Because I've been tested for pregnancy before in Canada. At the hospital.
Well, that's not as scary. But, and it does make sense now that the IV is hooked up. He could have taken a blood test then. Mm-hmm. But he's like, we're going to take this test. We're going to test for this. We're going to test for COVID. I'm like, well, I don't think I have COVID, but whatever. I'm pretty sure I don't have it. And he's like, and we're going to do a pregnancy test. And I'm like, you don't need to take a pregnancy test. And he's like, okay, why don't you want a pregnancy test? I heard your husband, didn't you just say your husband's outside in the parking lot? And I'm like, yeah, but trust me, I'm not pregnant. And he's like, are you not sexually active with your husband? And I said, that's a personal question, but I'm not pregnant. And he's like, okay. Still a sweetheart. He leaves. The doctor comes back, and I had not met the doctor yet, and she flies into my room. She's like, Misty, every patient gets tested for pregnancy. Every female patient gets tested for pregnancy between the age of 16 and 76. Why don't you want a pregnancy test? And I'm like, I'm not pregnant. She goes, that's not good enough. Why don't you want a pregnancy test? And I said, trust me, I'm not pregnant. And she somehow clicked, and it came to her, and she's like, oh. She turned around, and the nurse came back, night and day different. He was no longer sweet nurse. He was, and instead of saying, I'm going to take another test, you know, he was that nurse. Now he is, what are you doing now? They want to test your blood sugar again. Okay. And then he would leave. Like, it made me want to cry. It made me want to leave the hospital. It didn't make me want to be there. Like, obviously, I was passing as female. He didn't register me as transgender. And once the doctor outed me, well, we don't need to take a pregnancy test on her. She's got a penis or had a penis or whatever they thought. It was probably one of the most recent traumatic experiences of being treated differently after somebody found out. But for years, strangers, welcome to Moe's and Burger King and dating apps, and I've gotten used to it, but I've been passing as female for so long that I forgot that people treat you differently when they find out.
Of course.
And it really struck hard.
Yeah. Well,
do you have any more?
That.
No,
I
okay.
think that's about it.
But yes, People do treat us differently when they find out.
Yeah.
But fortunately, both of us have the gift of passing. We can operate with makeup on or with makeup off at Walt Disney World or Kmart. We don't think Kmart doesn't exist anymore, but wherever we go into the general public and we don't live our lives in fear, fortunately, because we pass. And yes, unfortunately, if somebody does clock us, they often treat us very differently. But fortunately,
it doesn't happen too often.
It doesn't happen too often. But thank you for your question. Loving you is easy.